back to our question, how do we see? We've got a lot of stuff we've looked at around here. We've looked at these illusions. We've looked at how Ben Underwood can see using echolocation. Now we're trying to understand. We've looked at this over here. How do blind people dream? If they've, we're talking about blind people who've never been able to see before. Do they imagine some sort of image? Do they see an image in their mind using smell and sound, or how does that work? So, and he answers the question quite interestingly. He's obviously speaks from experience, and from his own experience, of course. So that's very interesting. We're coming to this fairly simple sounding question of what is the difference between black, white, and grey? We start off with intuitively, then black is 100% dark, as you've put, and 0% light, and white's the other way around. And you put grey's 50-50. Now, I would probably change that. And if you hear you said between black and grey, I would say grey is just greater than 0% light and less than 100% light, or greater than 100% dark and less than 100% dark. That's what I would say grey is. So grey is anything in between white and black. Okay. Now, let's remind ourselves, how do we see in the first place? The basic answer to how we see. So if you follow me, I think, here we go. This picture here demonstrates it quite well. How does he see that flower? Basically, light shines on the flower, it reflects off the flower, and the light goes into his eye, and he sees it. His brain does a little bit of stuff there, and we look at all the different cones and rod cells in the back of the retina, and we can think about how we can see that, and we can think about how our interpretation of wavelengths of light and all that, and so we can get more detailed. But at a basic level, light reflects off something, and then the light goes into our eyes. In terms of color, this demonstrates it as well. This is like all the light. Actually, it looks like yellow light, but anyway, the sun is actually more like a white color. But we won't talk about that right now. We say white light shines which is a mixture of all the different colors, and red light comes off the roads. And that's why you see it as red. But we don't even need to think about color to answer my question about black, white, and grey. We could just say that light is reflected off something and it goes into our eyes. And the difference between black, white, and grey is how much of the light that is reflected. So black, white, first of all, reflects 100% of the light that is shined on it. So if you shined light onto a white object, then all the light that is shined onto it reflects right off it, and so you see something that is white. And if you shine light onto something that is black, then all the light that you shine onto it is absorbed into it. And when you think about it in that way, I mean, it has to mean that, doesn't it? Because otherwise, if any of the light was reflected from the black, then that means it could be darker. And if it could be darker, then it's not black. All right? Our definition of black is as dark as it can be. So that means it's absorbing every single bit of light. Okay, no light is reflected. So what would it be then if you imagine seeing somebody wearing a black jumper? We've seen many people wearing black clothes before, and we've not questioned it. They're wearing a black pair of trousers, they're wearing a black jacket, they're wearing a black jumper, whatever it might be, or white jumper, white t-shirt, whatever. Is there any, now we've thought about it in this way, is there any reason why we can change that idea? The sentence, he's wearing a black jumper, she's wearing a white t-shirt. Is there anything wrong with those sentences? Right. So we've got two people here. Maybe the same person, I don't know. Maybe he might get a lot of modeling work. But he's wearing a black jumper and he's wearing black trousers, right? That seems fine. So it doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that sentence. And he's wearing a white t-shirt. And blue jeans and so on. Look at the pictures carefully and think about our definition of what we said was black and white. We're saying that he wears a black jumper, and black means it absorbs 100% of the light and reflects no light. White means they reflect all of the light and absorbs no light. Is there anything wrong with these pictures that seems to suggest those definitions don't make sense now? Right. So yeah, here we have some examples of some of the blackest things ever. But when we say even that phrase, the blackest thing, this is blacker than that. Now we're sort of we're coming across the contradiction now, because we said that black is 100% dark. You can't have 101% dark, and so it doesn't make any sense for something to be blacker than something else. So if that's darker than this black jumper, that would have to mean that this black jumper isn't black, right? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. So that was my next question. My next point is that in reality, we've probably never seen, and maybe never will see, actual black. However, although saying that, I suppose our eyes only have a certain sensitivity. So once we get to a certain percentage, like 99.99.23%, maybe we are seeing black, because any light that is being reflected, we can't detect anyway. And so what we're seeing inside our brain is true black, even if black isn't isn't the color of the thing. We just can't see the remaining light that's coming off it. So maybe we can see true black. So basically, the definition of black would be that it absorbs all light, but and so this jumper, like you say, must actually be dark grey. But there's also some clues about this jumper. If you have a look on the whiteboard, I can show you what I mean. So if you have a look at this picture, maybe we could do with making it a bit bigger, because we're at our maximum zoom. There's our maximum zoom, but you can see these shadows inside the jumper, which means that when it's under it's clearly reflecting some light, because when the points where there's folds, where there's the creases in the jumper, that's when it's absorbing more light, because the light that is being reflected from one part is then going into another part of the jumper, and so less is coming off. And if that part of the jumper is reflecting less light than another part of the jumper, then clearly the jumper is reflecting light, and so therefore it isn't black. And likewise with this white t-shirt, that must be absorbing some color, some light, because it's, again, we can see creases, and if we can see shape, then the only way we can see shape is because there's, we're seeing different shades of color, so different grays, and basically different grays in this case, and so that can't be white either. And just like you showed me that, like this picture of Musso black here, you can't actually, it's not a perfect picture. It's not a perfect picture to demonstrate it, but but you can sort of see that it looks like a hole, doesn't it? It doesn't look like, you can't see shape there. And the reason why you can't see shape is because there's no light and dark patch like there are in the shades of like in the folds of the t-shirt. So, well, we'll just summarize what we just said. So, that basically, the folds demonstrate that this isn't 100% black and this isn't 100% white. And if we look over at this picture of a mask, that is actually Vanta black, and this is Musso black. As far as we're concerned, certainly in these photos, we can't really tell much of a difference, because once again, we can't see any shape. These are the same. I presume they're pretty similar or maybe identical masks, but there is no, you can't make out any shape there. It just looks, like you said earlier on, like it's two-dimensional. Yeah, for me, I can't make out that actually. So maybe my eyesight's not as good, but certainly it's approaching that way, isn't it? So it's certainly, yeah.